Good evening, everyone. Regular meeting of the Salem City Council is being held in person on Thursday, November 13th, 2025 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on Monday, November 10th, 2025 at 3:20 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and is live on SATV and Zoom unless technological issues interrupt the transmission. Councilors absent, none. Councilor Morcillo moved to dispense with the reading of the previous meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? Requesting that we all stand for the recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Hapworth.
The flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The Salem City Council honors that this land is Nomkeg, or fishing place, where generations of Nomkeg people from the Pawtucket Band of the Massachusetts tribe lived and passed through for centuries. We acknowledge that this is unceded indigenous land and also acknowledge the Massachusetts tribe who continue to honor and hold this land into the present. Salem City Council is committed to having ongoing, meaningful dialogue with the indigenous peoples who have presence in Salem in order to dismantle the legacies of oppression and inequities that persist today. I would also like to welcome our new councilors-elect, which I believe we have 3 of them in the audience tonight, and that would be Councilor-elect Aaron Turkowski, Councilor Andrew Smith, and Councilor Jason Sidoriak. Congratulations. Public testimony is not to exceed 15 minutes. Public testimony is not a public hearing or question and answer period. Sign-up must occur 30 minutes prior to the meeting. The president shall, depending on the number of speakers, set a time limit not to exceed 3 minutes, which each individual presenting testimony must abide. Tonight we have 5 people signed up for public comment, so we can have them have the full 3 minutes. And first would be Mary Beth Bainbridge.
Thank you. Chapter 40R is evidence our government is corrupt. An expansion will not serve any more unhoused individuals than the highest numbers last summer. An expansion will not provide more support services. Scatter sites could provide immediate housing, but this developer does not want that. An expansion for $65 million with our taxpayer money is reckless. I have 65 million questions, but I will leave this council with one. Where is your fiduciary responsibility? Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be Emmy Lou Manuel.
You're going to raise the mic. Thank you. I am here to speak on the proposed ordinance relative to the Transportation Commission pushed by Councilor Morcillo. So I'm Emmy Lou Manuel. I live at 15 Heritage Drive, apartment 17. I'm a member of the Bike and Shared Path Committee and have been since, I think, March of last year. We've had many discussions as a group about kind of the late notice we've gotten about projects where we could give feedback. And so we were thrilled to see this proposal push forward by Councilor Morcillo to kind of break down some of the silos in the different commissions and make sure that we can kind of have notice of the projects that are happening and an ability to comment and work together on the best plan for bikes and shared paths. I think it will lead to more fluidity of conversations, make sure that the right people are at the table, and help the bike committee, and it will also help the bike committee be more connected to police, fire, and the Disabilities Commission, which would be great feedback for us kind of to receive as a committee as well. So I'm very much in support of this proposed ordinance change, and thank you.
Thank you. Craig Bilodeau?
I can do myself. I'm good. Thanks. My name's Craig Bilodeau. I live at 10 Ames Street in Salem. I'm also a member of the Cycling and Shared Path Advisory Committee. I'm here to speak in behalf of the adding of a cycling, one of our committee to that Transportation Commission, as for the same thing that Emily Lou said. I just wanted to add my support to that change to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexa Ognov?
Hi, Alexa Agno, 180A Federal Street. I am also a member of the Bicycling and Shared Path Advisory Committee, and I would love for cyclists to have a seat at the table on the Transportation Committee. Transportation is not just about moving cars from point A to point B. Transportation is about moving people and goods, and the more people that we can get on bicycles means fewer people in cars and less traffic overall. But in any case, it would be nice to have a seat at the table, even if it's not a voting seat. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Joshua Nagel.
Hi, everyone. Josh Nagel, 35 Washington Square. Also part of Cycling and Shared Path. Thank you for making the time for us. I was just coming to advocate for this change as well. Based on the cadence of our meetings, we typically hear about things late, as was alluded to before. And by the time we provide feedback, we often find that it's too late for us to actually be advocating for changes that we think would be helpful for all road users, not just people who use micromobility options. And it's been something, I've been on the committee for the past couple years. We often find ourselves spinning our wheels, not getting anywhere. So we really would appreciate being brought to the table for these things. I know in the past, this committee's had a number of issues actually achieving advocacy. I believe at one point there's an exodus of most of the committee, if not all of it, due to these same issues. So I strongly ask you to consider this change. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public testimony. Hearings, none. Appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointment of Elizabeth Smith as the City of Salem's Deputy Auditor with a term to expire January 31st, 2026.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, Council President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Varela moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Be brief. Just wanted to thank Elizabeth Smith for stepping into this position and looking forward to the continued work. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Stott?
Yes.
Councilor Morcillo?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Jerslow?
Yes.
Councilor Harvey?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Davis?
Yes.
Councilor Cohen?
Yes.
And Councilor Prosnewski.
Yes. On the mayor's appointment, Elizabeth Smith to the City of Salem's Deputy Auditor, we have unanimous 11 yeas, 0 nays. Matter carries. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President. I would move for suspension of the rules if Elizabeth Smith would like to address the council.
Seeing no objection.
Thank you, Council. I just want to say I'm very excited for this new role, and I've enjoyed working with the city over this past couple of years, and I look forward to working with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointments of the following with their terms to expire.
Council Varela?
Thank you, Council President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Council Varela moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, President. I'll be brief. I just wanted to thank these two appointments for stepping up. I know a few of them, and beautification committee is just as important as any other committee to keep our city going in the right direction when it comes to creativity here, when it comes to just beautification in general, and also Food Policy Council. So thank you so much for stepping up, you two, and look forward to the work.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
Yes.
Council Jerslow?
Yes.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
Yes.
Council Davis?
Yes.
Council Cohen?
Yes.
And Council Prosnewski.
Yes. On the mayor's appointment of Anthony Henschel to the Beautification Committee and Fred Norton to the Food Policy Committee, we have 11 yeas, no nays. Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
Council Varela.
I'm sorry, Council Varela.
Thank you, Council President. I move for suspension of the rules if Anthony and Frederick would like to address the council.
My apologies. Mr. Norton.
Thank you very much. Working for the Salem Food Pantry has been one of the great joys of my life. It's been amazing, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to help serve the rest of the city, and I hope that I can live up to the trust appointed me for this office. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Henschel in the audience? No? Okay. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's reappointments of the following with their terms to expire. Christopher Malmstrom and Joel Simpson.
Council Varela.
Thank you, Council President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Council Varela moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Very briefly, thank you for these two applicants for their continued work on these very important boards. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
Yes.
Council Jerslow?
Yes.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
Yes.
Council Davis?
Yes.
Council Cohen? And Council Prosnewski.
Yes. On the mayor's reappointments, Christopher Maelstrom and Joel Simpson, we have 11 yeas, 0 nays. Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Gail Kubik as the Assistant Building Inspector for the City of Salem with a term to expire November 13th, 2027.
Council Varela.
Thank you, Council President. I move for we held this under the rules.
Varela moves for this matter to be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Karen Kavanaugh to serve as the tree warden for the City of Salem with a term to expire November 13th, 2028.
Council Varela.
Thank you, Council President. Move for this be held under the rules.
Council Varela moves that this matter be held under the rules. All in favor? All opposed? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of the following with their terms to expire.
Council Varela.
Thank you. I also move this be held under the rules.
Council Varela moves that this be held under the rules. All those in favor? Those opposed? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of the following with their terms to expire.
Council Varela.
Thank you, President. I also move this be held under the rules.
Council Varela moves that these appointments be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments. No communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to Chapter 24 offenses by adding a new Section 32 virtual currency prohibitions.
Council Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for first passage.
Council Hapworth moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is actually led, I think this effort mostly led by Councilor Merkel, but I'll just say that appreciate her for the work she did on this. And this is supported by the police chief. There's very little regulations on this. It's a possible scam opportunity for a lot of folks. I think there's 15 operating in Salem right now. There's not a lot of regulation yet. So until we get that federal regulation, we would prefer to have these banned to protect Salem residents. I'll ask Councilor Merkel to add more if she's got more to add on that.
Any further discussion? Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, President Prosnewski. Yes, there's been a lot of coverage. I know Gloucester has followed suit, and some of the our other neighboring cities and towns have legislation pending because of the enormous amount of money that people have been bilked out of because of these. So there is a move, and there is, as Councilor Hapworth said, state legislation pending, but many of our neighboring cities and towns are moving immediately with this because they want to get this put in place. Thanks.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Hapworth's motion, I'm sorry, Councilor Rosillo, going to raise your hand higher.
Thank you, President. As long as the police chief is here, could we suspend the rules?
Absolutely. Seeing no objection, Chief?
While you're coming up to the microphone, I was just curious if you've heard of any incidents with these in Salem or in neighboring towns.
Yes, in the last 4 years, thank you for the opportunity to speak. In the last 4 years, we've encountered multiple, probably fewer than 10, but more than 5 most years, involving victims in Salem, in some cases being bilked out of tens of thousands of dollars. Where these scams can target particularly the elderly, they send them to an ATM or a bank branch where somebody might interfere, or ATM has a limit as to how much you can withdraw. Not so these cryptocurrency machines, and therefore there's the real potential for tremendous losses for the victims. And I don't see a lot of use of these machines other than for nefarious purposes. So I think the harm is considerable.
Yeah, agreed. Do you know if the owners of the shops where these are located, do they make any money off of these?
I believe they do. I believe they make a small percentage from the transactions that occur.
And do you know if there's been any outreach that they know that this is happening?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, I was curious about that. Okay, thank you.
Chief, I just have a question. Do we have a number of how many of those machines are in Salem?
I believe it's approximately 15, but...
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Councilor Harvey.
Thank you, President. To answer Councilor Masil's question, yeah, the establishment that has the machine does get a fee, just like a regular ATM machine. But the difference is once that transaction is done, nobody has record of it. That transaction can go anywhere in the world, and before they even, and the only reason I know this is because it happened. With the crypto, go India and go over to Japan, China, and as soon as they get that transaction in on their computer, boom, it's sold, and they're getting cash for it within a matter of seconds. But yes, the ATM, the facilities that have these crypto ATMs do get a fee for the transaction, but once the transaction is done, it's done. It's not like you can go back to the bank and claim anything. It's just gone.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Hapworth's motion to adopt this for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to rates and charges for water.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move for adoption for first passage.
Councilor Hapworth moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion?
Thank you, Mr. President. No discussion other than this is the annual math problem here to set the water rate.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adoption for first passage? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order for appease for fees.
Council Morcillo.
Thank you, President. I move for adoption.
Council Morcillo moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, President. This is our yearly waiving of the fees up to $30 for late fees on parking violations in exchange for a donation of canned goods and non-perishable items, and that's between November 28th and December 23rd. And I believe it's bring in 2 cans and you get up to $30 waived. Not the ticket price, though, just the fees.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. I'm sorry. Council Watson-Felt.
Just a brief comment, President Prasnewski, thank you. I just wanted to say that I think this is a wonderful program. We've talked about it every year. I hope that the public really takes advantage of it. This year, it's always been a win-win scenario, a win for the residents and a win for the pantry and the recipients of the canned items. I think it would be remiss of us not to acknowledge that at this time this year, given the current state of the economy, the price of goods, and also the rescinded SNAP benefits that have been plaguing the nation, that this is an extra important win-win, and I'm really hoping that there is a windfall of canned goods that come in for this program this year. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none on Council Morcillo's move for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order for parking at all city-owned lots, garages, and on-street spaces shall be free of charge on the following dates, November 28th through November 30th, and December 20th through the 24th.
Councilor Harvey.
Thank you, President Prasnewski. I move for adoption.
Councilor Harvey moves for adoption. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Councilor Watson-Felt.
Thank you, President Prasnewski. Another brief comment on this. So a lot of these days follow also small business marketing days as well. So the reason why this happens around the holiday season is obvious. So folks will hopefully come and spend their hard-earned dollars in our small businesses in our downtown. So it's always really important, especially just in Ward 2, where all of our small businesses are centered around the downtown. It keeps business flowing, especially after the October season. And I hope that folks will take advantage. Thanks.
Any further discussion? Seeing none on Councilor Harvey's motion to adopt, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order pursuant to Section 2079 of Chapter 20 of the Salem Code of Ordinances. The Salem City Council hereby authorizes the chief of the fire department to close intermittently Station 2 on North Street until such time as repairs are made to the building.
Councilor Stott.
Thank you. I move for adoption.
Councilor Stott moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you. As we may have read in the background documentation, or if anyone has driven down North Street lately, you may have seen the fire truck that is parked next to the station as the door is boarded up. Earlier this year, I believe over the summer, there was a request for funds to start the repairs of that door. Of course, as with any old building, when you start to repair it, you find out more is needed than originally thought. So as the city and the fire department are working on figuring that out and getting those repairs done, the little fire truck cannot stay outside all winter long. It's not good to be outside in the cold weather, so they will need to house it when the temperature gets to a certain degree. We're working with the neighboring city of Peabody to make sure that they are aware as well, as their fire station is not that much further down Tremont Street across the border, as well as looking for an area in North Salem to house the truck. But per our ordinances, we do need to be notified when the fire truck will not be housed.
Any further discussion? Seeing none on Councilor Stott's motion to adopt, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Mayor's informational page, none. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Stott.
Thank you, President Prasnewski. In the City Council, City of Salem, November 13th, 2026, ordered that Appendix A, Rules and Orders of the City Council, Section 30A, be deleted in its entirety and replaced with the following: Section 30A, Ordinances relative to traffic and parking regulations. Every ordinance relative to traffic and parking regulations shall, upon its introduction into the City Council, contain a recommendation from the Salem Police Traffic Department, the Transportation Department, or both. The request should be made in a timely manner, and if not provided, the ward councilor's recommendation shall be voiced on the floor, and I move that this be held under the rules.
Councilor Slaughter. Request that this be held under the rules. Under discussion.
Thank you, President Presnowski. Any change to our council rules require 2 readings, hence the first reading is this is held under the rules, and then further discussion can happen until the second reading is at our next meeting. I am requesting this to amend our current rule so it is closer to what we actually do. Our current rule states that items introduced to the City Council shall contain a recommendation of the Salem Police Traffic Department. As evidence this evening and as evidence in past meetings, that is not always the case. Sometimes we hold true to the rule and sometimes we do not. And there are various reasons for that. We do have a transportation department who is filled with traffic engineers, and they have the ability to also work with the Transportation Commission to get feedback and recommendations. I think we should be leaning on the entirety of the breadth of knowledge that we have within the city and not just utilizing a rule when it is in our favor or when it is convenient. We should be equitable with our rules, and hence the edit that is in front of you tonight to adjust the rules so it is more timely or more adequate to how we participate and practice in following this rule.
Any further discussion? Councilor Harvey.
Curious as to, so I'm assuming this is pertaining to the situation we had with the no turn on red and not getting the recommendation from the police department prior to a meeting being held in regards to that. Am I right in saying that? Is that where this is coming from?
You're asking me? Councilor Stott?
I will answer this, but not have this be my second time, I guess, if you'd like. No.
Okay.
I can elaborate on that if you'd like.
I'd like to make a motion to put this in a committee, public safety, if I could.
Councilor Harvey moves that this matter be put in the Committee of Public Safety. Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you. Point of clarification, President Presnowski. If it's being held under the rules in this meeting, would it not be the position that we vote to send to committee at the second reading? We take no action if it's held under the rules, right?
I think we can send it into committee.
You can.
This
Okay.
one.
All right. Thank you for the clarification.
Right. Seeing that the police department is represented, someone want to make a motion to suspend the rules and let them comment? Councilor Harvey?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and let the police department speak on this.
Any objection? Councilor Stott objects. Police department does not get to speak. On Councilor Stott's motion that this be held under the rules until the next meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, on the motion that this matter be moved into committee.
No, second.
By Councilor Harvey. There is seconded by Councilor Gerslow. Still under discussion, Councilor Stott.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I will provide additional context that no, the reason for this edit was not to just specifically relate it to that. The reason for this edit is exactly what I said earlier. There are many items that are in front of us, including like 4 or 5 this evening, that do not have a police recommendation in the backup. There have been items in front of us in the past that do not have police recommendations in the backup. This is editing the rule just to make it more as to how we actually follow it.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Harvey's motion to move this matter into the committee, Public Safety.
Point of order for the city clerk has a question, it looks like.
Madam Clerk?
I'd like to suspend the rules for the clerk to speak. It looks like we have a point of order question.
Seeing no objection, Madam Clerk.
So I'd just like to add that whenever, especially in the motions or in resolutions, whenever, or from the Traffic Commission, whenever a traffic ordinance change comes in for the councilors, I always have a traffic recommendation from Lieutenant Tucker or police traffic. They are in here. I don't put them as backup because a lot of times when they have to do with handicapped parking, it involves a person's name and a medical situation. So it's just been normally done as not putting that as backup at all on the, as part of the agenda. It's always just been the ordinance itself. So they've always been in here. I would always tell the council if I don't have the backup, but I always chase down Lieutenant Tucker, and he can attest to that if I don't have something for him to make sure that I do, whether it's from something that, or he sends them to me that Councilor Stott or a councilor has asked for recommendations, that he sends it to me, and then I draft the ordinance from that. Or if David Korchowski sends me something, I make sure that Lieutenant Tucker sends me the recommendation for whatever they passed at the commission meeting. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. And, you know, the one thing that he didn't have was for the big project, and that was on me for not making sure that that came out as first passage. But they're always in here to have. And if you want me to stop putting them as part of backup, I will. I just don't like putting them in there because a lot of them are medical situations with the handicap parking, so it's just never been part of the agenda backup.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Though I disagree, though I agree with this in the spirit of this, there's been enough conversation here tonight, including 2 motions to suspend the rules and some cross-talk between councilors, that I feel like this should be in committee and have a discussion in committee.
Thank you. Any further discussion? On Councilor Harvey's motion, seconded by Councilor Jersey, to put this in committee for further discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. This is put into committee. Thank you. Public safety.
President. Can we make that with Councilor Loho?
Yes.
Co-posted.
Co-posted with the committee of the whole. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Further, Councilor Morcillo.
Thank you, President. In the year 2025, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to the Transportation Commission, be it ordained by the City of Salem and the City of Salem by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows.
Waive the reading.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the change to the Transportation Commission, and what I'm specifying is that the police representative no longer be a voting member of the commission, and therefore be replaced by a member of the public. And then in addition, the police representative would be retained in an advisory role, along with a representative from the fire department, as well as a representative from the Bicycling Commission, the Disabilities Commission, and the schools. The superintendent would send someone. So the reason for this is that I think from the last discussion, I will say this came from that, except for the police representative as a voting member. That's been under discussion for a little while. I think that it adds a layer of complexity when the police representative is a voting member. I could only think of one board or commission in the city that has a city employee as a voting member, and that's the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board, which started out with 3 members of the city council and the mayor, all voting members, and we removed the city councilors because of issues like this. I think they should be there to provide guidance and to advise on situations where they are experts. But the vote should be up to the people on the commission, and then they themselves, through our policy, would put in their recommendation. After our last meeting with the Red on Red, the fire chief did ask if they could be added as an advisor to the Transportation Commission. I think that's a great idea. I think we need to tear down the silos in the city. The Transportation Commission does a lot of work. I think they could be doing a whole lot more work that's more impactful than what's on their agendas. That's my opinion. And I think that by adding more people that are representing the bicycling community and the disabilities community, and then the school's representative to talk about bus issues on the streets and crosswalks to school, pathways to school, and kind of helping to have a more well-rounded conversation when it comes to changes on the roads and on the sidewalks. I think that we'll get more done that way without, at the last minute, having a hiccup and saying, well, wait a minute, fire department didn't know about this, police department didn't weigh in. So everyone will have a seat. What they choose to do with that seat is up to them, but they are going to be invited to participate in the conversation. It's a big change for the Transportation Commission. I do admit that adding 5 people in an advisory capacity, they will have to figure out the rules on that. I think this is really an important thing to try, though, and as I said last night at the Transportation Commission, if this isn't working out, we can always change it, just like we're doing tonight, right? But I think that we need to open up the conversation to have better input on decisions that are being made. And I think to kind of raise the level of conversation and what we're discussing in the Transportation Commission and take broader looks at the city and where we can make change that's effective for everyone using the streets.
Any further discussion?
By the way,
do you want to make a motion?
My motion is for first passage.
Councilor Marcillo moves for first passage. Under further discussion, Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you. On behalf of the constituents in Ward 2, I'm really excited about this. We have been subject to a couple of those hiccups. I want to thank Councilor Marcillo for bringing this forward. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that breaking down the silos, getting everybody's voices at the table in real time will also, as she said, keep work moving forward, decision-making really clear and transparent. Public engagement will, I hope, even feel more confident because they'll have this level of expertise and representation in the conversation. And so they'll understand that everybody that may need to weigh in or have a subject matter expertise position is in that conversation. So just my gratitude to Councilor Marcillo for bringing it forward. Really excited to support it tonight. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Marcillo's motion for first passage, on this, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries for first passage. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you, President Presnewski. City of Salem, in the year 2025, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to public guides. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 40, Tourism and Public Marketing. Article 2, Division 1, generally is hereby amended by 1, inserting the words "or resident" immediately following the word "business" as it appears in Section 40-30C, Prohibitions. And 2, inserting the following at the end of Section 40-30 Prohibitions, quote, 13, use amplification within the B5 zoning district after 8 p.m. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter, and I move for first passage.
Council Watson-Felt moves for first passage. Under discussion.
Thank you, President Presnewski. So we talk a lot in this council year over year about the impact of tour guides and tourism generally on our residents. And in recent years, specifically in Ward 2, outside the immediate bounds of the downtown, we have seen an increase in foot traffic of these tour groups in our residential zones, outside, as I said, outside the B5. And generally, that would not be a problem, and is not a huge problem, right? Generally speaking. But time and again, over the last number of years, there have been a number of complaints and concerns raised by residents because there's no setbacks of most of the properties on those streets, which is to say that when a tour guide is hosting a tour with amplification and a group of 20, or more people, they are immediately outside their living room windows or their dining room windows or under their children's bedroom. We have even had a case of a family who, left an area because it just got to be too much, and they had a very young family. When you think about tourism and commercial business, you think about it, obviously, our historic downtown is beautiful, and so are the surrounding streets. But I think we've seen in recent years the increase in the number and the increase in the use of amplification has really had a negative impact in the evening hours particularly, which I have made comment on before in this body, on our residents outside those boundaries of the business zone. So in my mind, this would be, I'm hoping for this whole group tonight, two easy yeses. Please don't block residents' doorways, which we already have in the ordinance around not blocking business doorways. I think it's important to add the residents' doorways. And also, as I've said in past, when you are not in the hustle and bustle of the downtown and you're on a quiet side street, the amplification of tour groups after dark when activity has settled is a lot more highly impactful than it is when it is in the downtown. So I'm hoping that's an easy yes too. 8 p.m. feels to me like after standard sort of, BAU business hours, and it is a residential zone. So as I said, moving for first passage tonight, and I hope I'll have the support of this body. Thank you.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President. I support this, but not because I am thinking of just one ward. I would invite the Ward 2 councilor to, actually do not come anywhere near Ocean Ave anytime during the year where we have barricades that say road closed. We have, as Lieutenant Tecker would say, we have towed hundreds of cars. We had to add amplification for that area, and that is actually not really seasonal. There are people who don't have driveways, whose vehicle is on the street, who cannot get their car into the street to go to work or school. So I support it, but I support it for the whole city. Thank you.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the Ward 2 councilor for bringing this forward. I happen to think there should be probably no amplification in residential neighborhoods, so I agree with this portion of this here. I don't, unless there's an issue with safety or there's something that's time-bound, I don't like the idea of passing something in council chambers that the public isn't generally aware of. I would move to give this first passage tonight and to send the Committee of Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs. We can hold a meeting next week, give members of the tour guide community and the public a chance to weigh in and ask any questions, and then bring it back for our December meeting for final passage.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Hapworth.
We have a second.
Councilor Watson-Felt.
Sorry. Did you want to make your second?
Second.
Councilor Watson-Felt.
Thank you. Though generally I have been recently very supportive of a first passage and send to committee, I don't see the reason. This is something that residents, I don't believe, would object to. In fact, it's something they've been asking for more than a year. And I don't understand why it is so important to open this to public comment when this is something that we're doing for our residents that have been asking for it. I mean, with regards to public awareness, Our assistant city clerk is in regular contact with our tour guide community, and she does an excellent job at sending out notifications when there are changes like this that will require them to take a behavioral change or make a business change. So I would entirely depend on her to help inform that community. I don't know that we need to spend this group's professional time in a conversation about something that is pretty simple for our residents.
Any further discussion? Councilor Halper's motions to send this into committee between first and second passage, seconded by Councilor Merkel. Still under discussion, Councilor Stott.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I'd like to split the question. Move to split the question. First passage, then committee, because I don't want it to go to committee, but I'm open for first passage. And I don't want to vote it down because I don't want it to go to committee.
Gotcha. Councilor Watson-Felt's motion for adoption by first passage. All those in favor?
Right now on the table is...
Councilor Watson-Felt made a motion for first passage.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay.
Right, we're splitting.
And your motion to split was to split how? I'm sorry?
A motion to send it to committee and a motion for first passage. Which one would go first? First passage?
Councilor Watson-Felt's motion was first.
But if that doesn't pass, it goes back to first passage. So I'm just trying to...
So you want to take the committee vote first?
So I'm just trying to figure out what the difference that you're trying to...
We've done this before.
May I?
Oh,
sorry.
It's to split the question. It's not to split the vote, because if this fails, then it goes to first passage. You're not splitting the question of the order.
I mean, I'll withdraw if we're confused.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President. So anyone from the public has an opportunity to do public comment at every instance where something is on the agenda. So we actually do way more first and second passage without committee. This was on the agenda. People had an opportunity to come and speak to it, and they will have an opportunity to speak when it's second passage, if they so choose. I do not think there's a need to send this to committee. Thank you.
So the first motion on the floor is for adoption for first passage. We'll take that vote. And you want and refer it to the, so that's two motions. First, okay, so let's put it as one motion. Motion for first passage with Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. So just to clarify, there was a motion for first passage from the Ward 2 councilor, and then there was a motion to send to committee with first passage from me. So if my motion were to fail, then it goes back to the main motion, which is first passage.
On Councilor Hapworth's motion to send this matter into committee, seconded, and first passage, seconded by Councilor Merkel. All those in favor? All those opposed? Could all those opposed, so I can do it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The matter does not go into committee, but the matter does. Now we go back for the amendment. For all those in favor for adoption for first passage. All those opposed? Matter carries. Thanks, Ty. Motions, orders, and further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Stott.
Salem City Council regular meeting, November 13th, 2025, ordered in an ordinance relative to traffic be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap zones, limited time, be amended by repealing the following. Repeal in front of number 44 Orange Street by a distance of 20 feet. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter, and I move adoption for first passage.
Councilor Stott moves that this matter be moved for adoption for first passage. Any further discussion or further discussion?
Thank you, President Presnewski. As you can see, there are some cleanup items that I have as a ward councilor in the agenda this evening. There were a few items to be repealed, a few new items, and I appreciate working with Lieutenant Tucker to get these items on the agenda this evening. This one is a handicap or accessible parking space that is no longer needed.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of moving for adoption for first passage, repealing 44 Orange Street, handicap spot. All those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Stott.
In the year 2025, an ordinance relative to traffic be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap zones, limited time, be amended by adding the following. Beaver Street in front of 38 Beaver for a distance of 20 feet. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter, and I move for adoption for first passage.
Councilor Stott moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion.
I think I skipped one. I'll go back to that next one.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I just realized I did that. So this one is additional housekeeping for a request from a resident on Beaver Street, which is the one-way street behind Boston Street, kind of. Just recently, the site became part of Ward 6. Resident does not have available off-street parking to them and is having difficulty finding parking in the neighborhood. So we are requesting the accessible parking spot.
Any further discussion on Councilor Stott's motion to add a handicap parking space, 38 Beaver Street? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Go back one more. Councilor Stott.
In the year 2025, an ordinance relative to traffic be it ordained by the City Council in the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap zones, limited time, be amended by repealing the following. Repeal in front of number 227 North Street, running in a southerly direction for 20 feet. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter, and I recommend adoption for first passage.
Councilor Stott recommends for first passage. Under discussion.
This is another repeal. I noticed the sign was taken down as the spot is no longer needed, and as North Street parking is at a premium, want to make sure that this is actually changed in the books as well.
Any further discussion on Councilor Stott's motion to repeal handicap parking spot in front of 227 North Street? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Jerslow.
Thank you, President Presnewski. In the year 2025, an ordinance relative to traffic be it ordained by the City Council in the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 75, parking prohibits towing zones be amended as follows. By repealing Beach Avenue parking prohibition towing zone, Zone B, northerly side from Sutton Avenue to Columbus Avenue, April 1st to October 31st, and replacing with Beach Avenue parking prohibition, I can't even say the towing zone, Zone B, and northerly side from Sutton Ave to 23 Beach Ave, April 1st to October 31st. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter. And I move adoption for first passage.
Councilor Jerslow moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion.
Thank you, President Presnewski. The residents have asked me to extend the resident parking zone to 23 Beach Ave. It's only a couple spaces down. It is only seasonal. There's still plenty of public parking in front of Juniper Beach. Just like Councilor Stott, I'm just doing a little housekeeping. I thought I'd have more time to get these in, but here we are.
Any further discussion on Councilor Jerslow's motion for adoption to extend the parking zone? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Councilor Jerslow. Further motions and orders and resolutions. Councilor Jerslow.
Thank you. In the year 2025, an ordinance relative to traffic be ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 51, parking prohibited on certain streets, be amended by adding the following. Blaney Street, parking prohibited on certain streets, both sides. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter. And I move adoption for first passage.
Councilor Jerslow moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion.
Thank you. This order has been on my list for some time, and I've spoken with multiple departments about it, the parking department, police department, and the harbor master. As a member of the Port Authority, we have discussed the challenges on Blaney Street many times. Blaney Street is simply not safe for parking. The amount of traffic that moves in and out of that area between the trolley, the ferry passengers, which are tens of thousands in the season, and regular vehicle flow, makes it unsafe to allow parking on either side. Even when cars try to park tightly, there's not enough room for 2 lanes of travel. This has caused drivers to move up on the sidewalk, which creates an even greater safety issue for pedestrians. Legally, there is also not sufficient curb space for parking. Vehicles must park at least 10 feet from driveways, and Blaney Street has 2, the VFW and the entrance on 4 Blaney Street that alone restricts the available spaces, space to 2 spaces. At the beginning of this year, the council voted to allow Blaney Street residents to obtain resident parking privileges on Derby Street. Those residents already have their own small lot, but when they have visitors, there was no nearby option for guest parking, so that change made sense and was supported. I have also previously been contacted about using Blaney Street for business-related parking. I want to be clear, this area has never been intended for commercial employee parking. Businesses in that corridor have their own lots, and there's also a small public lot about 1.5 blocks away that provides 6 spaces for overflow needs. Resident parking in this area is extremely limited and is restricted from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. for a reason, to protect the people who live there. We have spent the last several years moving toward reducing unnecessary car dependence, eliminating parking minimums, and supporting walkability. That policy direction was strongly supported by many, including businesses in the neighborhood. We cannot now reverse course by carving out parking on a street that is unsafe and physically unable to support it. This order is about protecting residents, protecting pedestrians, and maintaining public safety in a very congested and high-traffic area. For all these reasons, I'm bringing forward this order tonight to clearly prohibit parking on Blaney Street. I'm hoping moving forward, the city will also redo the sidewalks on Blaney Street to make them ADA compliant and also safe for the pedestrians coming into from the ferry. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. This council should always be avoiding personalities, and this is very plainly that right now. This is a dispute, unfortunately, between 2 councilors, and I find it very troubling and disturbing to imagine situations where councilors are bringing ordinances against each other and involving public safety officials. There is also nothing in the backup, and there's a last-second letter that hit our desk before we got here. I don't like the way that this has hit the council, and I don't like the fact that we're talking about this here tonight, and I will not be supporting this.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President. I have 3 things to say about this. First of all, this could have happened the first year that the ward councilor was there. Nothing has really changed since then, dramatically. Second of all, if the same rules that were brought up by the ward councilor applied, I could have 0 parking on Canal Street on the east side section all the way from Cypress to Roslyn. It's over 700 feet. It is almost impossible to see sight lines. Now, the second thing I want to say is that, you know, I'm always talking about how great Ward 5 is, and I've actually ventured outside of Ward 5 to, you know, there's good shops and restaurants, and I've gone down there, and I've actually parked in one of those spots. It's very difficult. I have a handicap placard for me to find a place to park, and there's lots of businesses. There's people who might use the laundry, who might work or, you know, go to the VFW or get a bag of candy. I'm going to agree with Councilor Hapworth. I believe that elected officials should not, it's an ethics issue should not use the power of their position to further their personal agenda, which is what is happening in this case. I will not vote for this. It's inappropriate. It could have been brought in at any time, and it doesn't really, it's not reflective of so many parts of Salem. Yes, we need to have better sidewalks. We need to have better sight lines everywhere, but you know, if people are parked on the sidewalk, then someone can call the police and they can address that. There are rules against that. It's not like we don't have rules for people parking, you know, illegally or inappropriately, block driveways or whatever. And there's already a tow zone for the intersection. So, you know, where you can't park right at the intersection there. So I totally agree with Councilor Hapworth. I believe that this is a very inappropriate order that was brought in by the councilor.
Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you, President Presnewski. In addition to agreeing with my colleagues who have made comment before, I'm going to add a couple of thoughts. It seems to me there's also just been a lack of due diligence and creative thought put into this opportunity. We have a number of spaces in the downtown area where, you know, parking is even tighter than it is on Blaney Street, and residents around the entire downtown have made it work. In addition, we have very creatively worked with the transportation department to make streets like Howard Street, for example, shared pathway. There's an opportunity where we can use signage and lighting and all kinds of things to make shared streets safe where pedestrians are present, and sidewalks in our over 400-year-old city are not perfect or non-existent, which, by the way, is the case all around the city and downtown, outside downtown too. So not only do I agree, as I said, with my colleagues, I also think that there's more work and opportunity to be done here to think about creatively this space. The reality is the open space is available on Derby Street during the high season when there is one, is also where most of our employees who work in the downtown park. They walk blocks and blocks and blocks. Event parking, you know, caterers, they all walk blocks and blocks and blocks, oftentimes from Blaney Street all the way downtown and into places like Chestnut Street to the Hamilton Hall, because they're working and there's so much resident restriction and there's so much seasonal restriction. In addition, I don't know that the VFW has been involved in this conversation. I don't know that the laundry has been involved in this conversation. I don't know that the transportation department, if they support this, which I don't know because I don't have a letter from Mr. Kucharski, is taken into account the fact that the entire lot that goes down to the ferry and that large bulk immediately to the right is predominantly residential. It is no longer really open to the public in an easy and accessible way. I know these are only 2 spots, but I don't like the symbolism of what's happening tonight, and frankly, the process is incomplete. Thank you.
Councilor Davis.
Thank you, President Brzezinski. I'll be quick because it's already been so articulately said by my colleagues, who I deeply appreciate it, but just wanted to add my voice to the condemnation of just clearly petty personal tax disguises serious council business. And I think it's really important to have that clear consensus of condemnation, not just at all times, but when we're kind of wrapping up this term, coming to the end of the year, and especially tonight we have several council electeds. I think we just have to be more responsible at how we're kind of conducting ourselves, and I'm glad that they're able to witness that clear condemnation, and we're able to set that tone as we move forward. Thank you.
Councilor Marcello.
Thank you, President. I think this is a clear case where the backup should have been in the backup, and this is our rule, that we get recommendations from the police and the transportation, and we had nothing. And so that's, I think, what you're hearing around here is that there was nothing. And so I would suggest that at least this go to committee, because we need more information on this, and I thought it came in with nothing because there was nothing in the backup. So.
Councilor Jersall.
Thank you, President Presnewski. I really take offense to all your comments tonight. I've been talking with the harbor master. That's why I had him. We've been talking about this for years, since I started, and I think you're all a bunch of hypocrites. I'm very offended.
Point of order, Mr. President, we should be avoiding personalities. We should not be calling each other hypocrites.
Well, you did the same thing to me, and I have the floor, Councilor Hapworth. I still have the floor. Excuse me, I still have the floor, okay?
Councilor Gerslow, I know that there were some things said here that were kind of outside the line, and it started right away about people making assumptions and opinions. So let's just end it now, and I think everybody has seen that. So let's just end the assumptions and the opinions now, and let's stick to the facts. And I'm sure you to the facts.
I was very offended by your comments. It has nothing to do with a certain council here, and he's using his own agenda for his thing. Those parking spaces are not for certain people. They're not there for two people or for one business. It's for the public. And I've talked to I do have the letters from the police department and the harbor master. We're both members of the Port Authority, and that is the Port Authority. It's not a public lot. It belongs to the Port Authority. So you're wrong, Councilor Watson Felt, on that. That is the Port Authority. So that is under their jurisdiction. And I've been talking to the harbor master for the last 2 years, and I'm trying to do some housekeeping, and this is what I put in. So I'm very offended by your comments, all of you. Thank you.
Councilor Marcello, are you making a motion that this go into committee?
Yes, I move that this go into OLA.
Public safety.
I think OLA's going to meet, so can we put it into OLA? Co-posted?
Yeah. Councilor Marcello moves that this matter be moved to the Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs Committee for further discussion. Do I have a second? Seeing none. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President. Ironically, someone just admitted that they were identifying that some business was trying to use these two spots, and they accused that person of doing that. So that's really reinforcing the point. Thank you.
Councilor, you're going to recognize Councilor Gerslow. I think we all get the point. I think it's been made embarrassingly in front of the city council that this had to go in that kind of direction. Councilor Stott.
Thank you, President Presnewski. Two quick comments. I respect ward councilors wanting to do cleanup. I'm doing some myself, but I would say as a ward councilor, if I removed an amount of public parking from a street in my ward, there would need to be public conversations around it, at least at bare minimum in front of the Transportation Commission. Secondly, I think this just also proves my point about our existing rule that we have.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Gerstlow's motion for adoption for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter does not carry. Committee reports. Councilor Hapworth. I'm sorry, Councilor Stott.
Thank you, President Presnewski. I have a late file related to the committee reports. City of Salem and City Council, November 13th, 2025, ordered that the Committee on Community and Economic Development meet with city departments to review outdoor dining applicants from 2025, as well as review and recommend edits to the outdoor dining policy, including adding policy items related to yearly outdoor dining. And to be invited to the meeting, the city inspector, the health agent, the ADA coordinator, director of transportation, and director of public works. I move that this be adopted.
No vote on the late file. Committee reports, Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, November 13th, 2025, Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
For the late file, there is no vote on it.
You can assume the will of the body.
No vote on the late file. All those in favor of the late file, no vote taken. Okay, late file is noted. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, November 13th, 2025, Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. To move referred the matter of zoning ordinance relative to smart growth overlay district ordinance, which would amend Section 7, Special Residential District Regulations by adding a new Section 7.4.8.2, Margarine, Endicott, and High Street Smart Growth District Subdistrict. It's considered said matter and would recommend adoption for a second passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Hapworth moves for second passage by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had a good conversation around the LifeBridge Harbor Light project. Started out the conversation around the composition of LifeBridge's board, which is not in the purview of this council necessarily, but speaking for myself, as I said in the meeting, I want to get for us everything that we possibly can here. So I want a say for Salem residents on that board. And I want to have as much preference as possible. So we talked through that with Jason. Jason has provided, Jason from LifeBridge has provided a memorandum from the LifeBridge board with their commitment to keep at least one Salem resident. They have had a member of the Salem community on their board for many years now. Spoke with Andrew about the 70% local preference from Harbor Light. Just getting some clarity on how that works going forward. So it's 70% local preference for the first initial lottery, and then after that, it's governed by the wait list, and that's not something that can necessarily be impacted by the city here and by this project. But I think that the part of the conversation that I appreciated the most was a part of the conversation around what homelessness looks like, and I think that was initially brought up by Councilor Harvey, in that we see the visible side of homelessness, which is the most tragic side of homelessness in Riley Plaza and along Essex Street. And this is something that we're clearly trying to prevent from happening by getting housing for folks. But the true face of homelessness is often invisible. It's people sleeping on couches. It's people sleeping in cars. It's people you may not know are unhoused at this time, and they may be briefly unhoused and having low barrier housing options like this will provide here, and some additional shelter space, though it's not as much shelter space as I think that we probably need in Salem. Having the additional housing specifically, I think, is something that we all appreciate seeing here. So just appreciate everyone who's taken place in this, has taken part in this conversation, and excited to see this come here for a second passage.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Hapworth's motion for second adoption by roll call vote. Madam, please call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Council Watson-Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
Yes.
Council Gerslow?
No.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
Yes.
Council Davis?
Yes.
Council Cohen?
Yes.
Council Prosnewski?
Yes. The matter of the second passage, zoning relative smart growth overlay district, special residential district. We have 10 yeas, 1 nay. Matter carries. Further committee reports, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. City of Salem, November 13, 2025. The Committee on Government Services, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, would meet to discuss granting of a waiver for the requirement to remove the outdoor dining from city street pursuant to city outdoor dining policy, and such maintain their outdoor dining platforms on Derby Street during the months of November 2025 through May 2026 for Ragazza Restaurant Group, DBA Bambolina, 288 Derby Street, and Hazel Deli LLC, DBA Witchside Tavern, 283 Derby Street. This meeting will be held in City Council, oh, never mind, sorry. I'm going off the report that I don't have, so. And I would recommend acceptance of the report.
On the acceptance of
Adoption.
On the acceptance of the report, first a vote on
Sorry,
the acceptance of the
amended with conditions.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Okay. Now, on the adoption of the recommendation under discussion.
Thank you, President Brzezinski. So we met with the two applicants who requested a waiver from the city to continue their outdoor dining on Derby Street. So we met with our Director of DPS, Ray Joden, as well as the two applicants representing Bambolina and Witchside Tavern, as well as guidance from our city solicitor, who unfortunately couldn't make it at the meeting. So these two businesses are requesting a waiver to continue their outdoor dining. This is the mechanism that they can through the policy and the ordinance. We had a very respectful discussion about if this happens, what is going to be requested from the businesses. We did have some amendments to this, that the businesses that would only be granted this from 2025-26 season, these would be the only businesses. Seems like the waiver, the moratorium did end, so we will not see any other applicants proposing this for this year, for this business year. The businesses will pay the applicable parking space fees noted in the outdoor dining per space, prorated through November through May. So right now, it's around $1,000 per parking spot that these applicants are paying. This will continue for another additional 6 months. I believe Bambolina's 2 parking spaces and Witchside Taverns between 5 and 6. Both parties agreed to continue to pay for the other additional 6 months. We also have an amendment that the businesses will work with the DPS director to finalize a snow removal plan and agree to the conditions set forth by the director, as well as businesses will assume all responsibilities for damages caused by snow removal. Furthermore, so as we've discussed, this is still the start of our outdoor dining policy. I think it's working. This is the first time 2 applicants have come before us to request a waiver for continuing of the outdoor dining. I do believe that this is a reasonable request, and we should give this a shot. Both applicants have displayed that they've put a little more than a little bit of money into their platforms and their coverings, specifically Bambolina with a covered, and you have Witchside Tavern, who's had their outdoor dining out there pre-COVID. This is the first time that this year that Witchside Tavern came in front of City Council or had to actually abide by the outdoor dining policy. So both of these businesses, you know, this is a great amenity to not only the businesses, but residents and their guests alike. And I think that they're showing that this is something that we should be doing. This is something very reasonable and normal that happens in Europe, New York City. And I think I'd like to see this continue on. I think that we're going to see how this works for this winter here, and make some adjustments from there. And I'm glad that Councilor Stott did make a motion to put in a late file for discussing amendments to the outdoor dining policy and ordinance. As we've talked about many times, we knew that they were going to have to make adjustments to the ordinance because this is something new to us. Just furthermore, anything that comes to, when it comes to coverings, aesthetic use, that will be in front of the SRA, as both these businesses are within the urban renewal district. So I look forward to seeing how this plays out, and I look forward to these businesses working with our DPS to mitigate the issues when it comes to snow removal, and see how we do this. Thank you. And I move for adoption.
Councilor Varela moves for adoption. Further discussion, Councilor Harvey.
As amended, thank you.
As amended.
Thank you, President Brzezinski. Through you to Councilor Varela. Was there any discussion in regards to the covering, specifically at Bambolina, in regards to snow load? I know that it was built, but I don't know whether, I mean, is that going to be inspected by the city to make sure that it is very good for snow load, being an actual cover like that, not just rain? Obviously, it was built for not winter season.
So this specifically for Bambolina was approved by our building department. Mr. Haig did obtain an engineer for that structure to make sure it was structurally sound. When it comes to snow load, to my to what I know, it seems like this is a permit. This has been permitted through our building inspectional services and should take that snow load. Obviously, we can always inquire with our building department, but when it comes to a permitted structure, it's going to have to maintain a snow load. And I'm sure that if you want to talk to our building commissioner about this, she'd be happy to provide all of the materials from the engineering study for Mr. Haig's proposed and built outdoor dining.
Okay, I understand. I understand that. I'm just, being that it was a temporary structure for summer months, I guess that would have to go to the building commissioner and ask that question it's just a safety concern. I mean, we do get some heavy snow, especially right on the water. It's a wet snow. I would just like to reconfirm that that structure is structurally sound for a snow load, not necessarily just for the summer months. That's all I'm asking.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Varela's motion for adoption of those two establishments to run through the wintertime, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Communications from city officials, none. Petitions?
We have a petition from National Grid to install conduits on Valley Street for 31 Valley Street.
Hearing ordered on December 4th, 2025. Further petitions?
We have one seaworm license application.
Councilor Hapworth?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Councilor Hapworth makes a motion to move this to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs under discussion.
No discussion.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. Further petitions?
We have a list of claims.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Hapworth moves, these claims be moved to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs. Any discussion?
No discussion.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Unfinished business.
With the second passage of an ordinance amending an ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 25, no turn on red.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second passage.
Councilor Hapworth moves for adoption by second passage. Any discussion?
No.
Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Councilor Davis.
Thank you. Yes, requesting a moment of personal privilege.
Councilor Davis requests a motion of personal privilege.
Yes, thank you, President
No objection.
Wanted to remind folks of Transgender Day of Remembrance coming up and say a few words about it as we approach that. Want to take a moment to honor and mourn the transgender and gender expansive people who have been killed because of who they are. This day began in 1999 following the murder of Rita Hester, a black trans woman from right here in Massachusetts. Each year since, communities across the country have gathered to read the names of those lost to anti-trans violence and to recommit to ending it. It's a solemn day, but it's also a call to conscience, a demand that we see this violence for what it is, not isolated tragedy, but a reflection of the systems and culture we've built. We live in a time when far too many of our national leaders have chosen to target transgender people for political gain, stoking fear and resentment. They promote a toxic myth that transgender people are a danger to others when the truth is the opposite. Transgender people are far more likely to be in danger from cisgender people. Trans people are over 4 times more likely than cisgender people to experience violent victimization. And nearly every year, dozens of trans people, most of them young, black, and brown trans women, are murdered in this country. That violence is both literal and systemic. It's not only the hate crime, it's the eviction that leaves someone without shelter. It's the healthcare system that denies gender-affirming care. It's the foster system that abandons queer youth. It's schools that fail to protect trans students from harassment, and workplaces that make being out unsafe. When our systems deny people safety, housing, care, and dignity, that is a form of violence too. These failures are not inevitable, they are policy choices that can be changed. So as you remember those we've lost, I want us to also recognize our responsibility to act. There will also be an event here at City Hall, as many know, on the 20th at 1 o'clock, and then that night at the PEM also has an event at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President. I just want to thank Councilor Davis. And Transgender Awareness Week actually starts today and ends on Transgender Day of Remembrance. So really a good time for us to provide solidarity to our friends in the community. Thank you.
Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you, President Presnewski. And yes, my thanks as well to Councilor Davis, who is an ally to the trans community, as I hope to be as well. And I think in addition, the comment Councilor Cohen just made is really important, because as we remember all those who have been lost, and there have been far, 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 far too many. One is too many, and there have been many, many over the years, including numbers and names we will never know, actually, which is important. That's a really important part of the memorial. We should spend this time also celebrating the courage and creativity and beauty of our trans siblings, because they are doing a lot of work just by being who they are, especially now. And I feel like we say this every year. We spend time talking about how important it is to acknowledge this community, and yet every year seems to be getting worse. So with that, and my heart full, thank you, Councillor.
Councilor Morcillo.
Motion to adjourn.
Councilor Morcillo moves to adjourn. All those in favor? We are adjourned.